Hi everyone, welcome to Honest Eats with Karen Grace, where I show you how I make new foods for the first time and also show you the mistakes I made so that you don't make them too. Alright, so the first thing we're going to start off with is a package of vanilla wafers. I got these from the Asian grocery. You don't have to. I also got a package of matcha green tea powder from the Asian store, and lastly, a package of candy melts from, I think it was from Michael's. It was on sale, and I can't forget, I ordered this online. It was a candy mold. It's going to give us that nice Kit Kat look. Alright, so the first thing you're going to do is heat up a pan of water. I think I put 2 cups of water in this, but it really doesn't matter. Just make sure you put enough water so that not all of it evaporates while we're trying to melt the chocolate. And also make sure it's boiling when you put the chocolate on. Well, it actually doesn't have to be, but it needs to boil eventually. Okay, so have your chocolate ready. I did not have my chocolate ready, so that is the first mistake that I made. Have it by the stove as the water is heating. I used 6 ounces of chocolate, and this turned out to be the perfect amount of chocolate for my candy mold. I'll also put a link in the description below for the site that I got the candy mold from. Just put the bowl of chocolate on top of the hot pan with the hot water on it. And the reason for this is because you don't want to burn the chocolate by just putting the chocolate directly in the pan. You want it to melt slowly so it gets to a nice consistency. It will just be a mess if you just put it into the pan right over the heat. So this is what we do to get that nice creamy consistency and avoid chocolate burning. Okay. So next you're going to add your green tea powder or matcha powder, and what I did was I put it through a sifter. This is very important if you don't want lumps in your chocolate. And one of the disasters in this recipe was that I put a whopping tablespoon of matcha powder in 6 ounces of chocolate. And the reason why this was a disaster was because the green tea flavor was a little bit too strong for my family. It was perfect for me because I'm a heavy tea drinker. I love green tea and black tea and like all different kinds of tea, and I'm used to that kind of bitter flavor. But my family did not like it very much, so if you're not that much of a tea drinker, you probably shouldn't put a tablespoon in. You should probably put in 1 teaspoon at a time just to avoid that bitter flavor. And also, when I added a tablespoon, it kind of turned out into this really, really vibrant green color, which I personally liked, but it didn't actually look like the original Kit Kat that I was trying to make. So I had no problem with it. If you want to make it look like Kit Kat, the green tea Kit Kat specifically, don't add so much matcha powder. It'll give you a nice milder flavor if you add maybe 1 to 2 teaspoons at most. Alright, so what you're going to do next is stir your matcha powder into your white chocolate, as we're doing here. And as you can see underneath, I just kept the bowl of chocolate on top of the pan of hot water that we just used as the double boiler. Reason being is because while you mix the matcha powder into the chocolate, you don't want the chocolate to harden. You want it to be nice and flowy, as I say, for the next step, which is to pour the candy into the mold. So right here I have the candy mold that I got from online. I actually washed it real well with soap. And right here I am just pouring a little bit of that green tea chocolate into the mold, and next I am layering from one side to the other, from left to right, which turned out to be a bad idea. Kind of, not really. I cut the wafers into halves and then into thirds. You can kind of judge for yourself what size you need to cut it into depending on the shape of your mold. And then right here you can see that the wafer slices are actually thicker than the ones on the bottom because I felt like the wafers I cut for the first batch were way too thin, and this second batch right here, in which I cut the wafers into halves, turned out much better because there was more wafer in each Kit Kat bite. So I think that was the best method for this mold, is to cut your wafers in half instead of thirds. Alright, so fast forwarding again, and just layer your wafers into the mold, and again just put chocolate on top of it, and as you can see I already did that. I also have some extra chocolate here. You can just dip the extra wafers into the leftover Kit Kat candy that you made. It was very delicious for me. So what I did was I popped this into the freezer for 30 minutes. I suggest actually just putting it into the fridge for only 10 minutes. The reason is I could not break this apart. I tried cutting this with a knife and it really would not go through, and even when it did, it kind of just broke apart. And then I tried breaking this candy by the little crevices that the candy mold had given me. It really, that way didn't work either. As you can see, it's going to crumble right here. Ugh. Oh, that looks terrible. Okay, so solution is you want to put it in the fridge for only 10 minutes and it'll break apart easily. This is just the leftover chocolate. Here's something you can definitely do with it. Feed it to your little sis. As I said before, my family didn't really like that strong green tea flavor. Do not put a tablespoon in. She seems very delighted by the flavor. Okay, so I hope you guys have fun making this cool recipe. If you have any questions, please put them down below in the comments section, and I will put the link to the candy mold down into the description below as well. So, good luck! Have fun!